Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving deep into the anatomy of a super scam, one that cleverly mixed the hype of Web3 with some of the oldest tricks in the book to swindle millions. This is the story of APDAO, a criminal operation that, believe it or not, spent years setting the perfect trap. Let's get right into it.
So this was the big promise. I mean, listen to that. APDAO sold itself as this groundbreaking project, the future of finance, a digital bank for the Web3 world, built by the people, for the people. It sounds incredible, right? Of course it does. But under all that slick marketing, it was a carefully constructed lie. And this slide just lays it all out, plain and simple. It's the core of the whole story. Over on the left, that's the dream they were selling. But on the right, that's the nightmare we uncovered. They promised a community-run digital bank that would bring financial freedom. What they delivered was a centrally controlled pyramid scheme, a trap really, built from the ground up for one thing: fraud. So you have to wonder, how did they get so many people to buy into this? Well, let's start by breaking down exactly how APDAO presented itself as this unmissable, revolutionary opportunity. Honestly, their pitch was genius. They use these buzzy terms like Web3 digital bank. It sounds so futuristic and legitimate, doesn't it? Their main product was this AUU card, which they claimed would let you spend your crypto anywhere, just like a Visa. But the real hook, the thing that got everyone excited, was what they called card-holding mining. They literally promised you could lie down to earn. I mean, effortless daily profits just for holding a card. And they were laser-focused on their target, Chinese-speaking communities all across the globe.
All right, it's time to start peeling back the layers here. Let's really dig into what this APU card and its so-called effortless returns were actually about. And to really get it, you first need to understand two very old-school financial scams.
First up, the Ponzi scheme. It's a classic for a reason. You just pay your early investors with the cash you get from new investors. Simple as that. As long as fresh money keeps pouring in, the whole thing looks like a roaring success. But it's just a house of cards, right? It's always destined to collapse. And then you have the pyramid scheme. With a pyramid, it's not really about selling a product. The real business is recruitment. The main way you make money is by signing up other people who then go out and sign up more people. You get this pyramid structure where only the folks at the very, very top walk away with any real cash. So here's how APDAO masterfully wove these two scams together. First, you had to pay an entry fee, anywhere from $100 to $1,000, just to get your hands on an APU card. Then they promised you static returns. That's the lie down and earn money. That's the Ponzi part, paid straight out of the entry fees from new victims. But the real engine was the dynamic rewards. That's the pyramid. They offered these insane referral bonuses and complicated team rewards, pushing everyone to go out and recruit their friends, their family, anyone. Now, to make all this seem above board, they claimed they had these big shot partnerships with Visa and MasterCard. But this was just a super clever lie. It wasn't a real partnership at all. What the scammers did was set up a shell company and get a very basic low-level payment channel. It gave them the right to slap a logo on their stuff, but it was absolutely not an endorsement of their scam. Okay, now we're going to go even deeper. Forget the business model for a second, because the most devastating part of this trap was actually hidden in the code. They called it a DAO, a decentralized organization. But what they actually built was more like a digital guillotine, giving them absolute, total control. And we know this for a fact, because the evidence is public. It's right there on the blockchain for anyone to see. This is the actual smart contract address for their APD token. Everything we're about to show you is 100% verifiable, and it is absolutely damning. So check out the traps they built right into the code. First, and this is a huge one, the contract ownership was never renounced. That means the scammers kept full administrative control. It's like having a God mode switch for the entire system. And with that power, they could do anything. They could pause all trading, instantly trapping everyone's money. They could blacklist any wallet address they wanted, basically banning you from ever selling your tokens. And here's the kicker. They could set the transaction tax to 100%. 100%, making it literally impossible to sell your tokens without giving every last cent back to them. This was not decentralized. It was a digital dictatorship. But here's the thing. A scam this sophisticated doesn't just pop up out of thin air. It turns out APDAO was just the latest costume for a criminal group that had been running these same scams for years. If you trace it back, this whole operation really got started in 2018 with a Ponzi scheme called Ace Split Fund. When that one went bust, they just rebranded in 2020 as Ace King Stocks, a scam so obvious that a Chinese court actually declared it fraudulent. So what did they do? They just evolved. In 2022, they came back as APDAO, wrapping that same old fraud in all the latest Web3 buzzwords to hook a whole new wave of victims.
This tactic actually has a name. It's called skin changing, and it's a very calculated criminal strategy. As soon as one brand gets too much heat or attracts legal attention, they just shed their skin. They change the name, they update the marketing, and they relaunch the exact same scam to a fresh, unsuspecting audience.
This all leads to a really critical question about how these guys operated so successfully for so long and on such a huge scale. I mean, how did they hide in plain sight?
No, really, think about it for a second. If a scam is this big, pulling in this many people, why isn't it all over the news? The answer is probably their most brilliant move of all. They built themselves an invisible fortress.
And they built it using a pretty common technology called geo-blocking. It's a really simple idea, actually. Their website can look at your IP address, figure out where in the world you are, and then decide whether or not to let you in. And their strategy was genius. They specifically allowed access from Asian countries with large Chinese-speaking communities. They're perfect victims. But at the same time, they actively blocked anyone trying to visit their site from the US, the UK, or Europe. And why would they do that? To stay completely invisible to the world's most powerful financial regulators, like the SEC. They basically created an information island, a safe zone where their scam could grow and thrive, completely shielded from the global security experts who would have shut them down in a heartbeat. So look, the most important thing here is to see the patterns. APDAO is just one name, one example. The real question is, how do you protect yourself from the next super scam? Because you can bet it's already out there. Okay, so here's a simple checklist for you. 4 easy steps. 1. Are they promising guaranteed high returns? That's the oldest red flag in the book. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. 2. Is the main business just recruiting more people? If your big payday comes from signing others up, you're looking at a pyramid scheme. 3. For any crypto project, do a quick technical check. Look up the smart contract on a block explorer and see if ownership is renounced. If it's not, the founders still hold all the cards. And 4. Is the team anonymous? Real projects have real public people behind them. Scammers love to hide in the shadows. And that's really the bottom line, isn't it? The brand names will change, the technology will evolve, the buzzwords will be different. Yesterday it was game stocks, today it's DAOs, who knows what it'll be tomorrow, but the fundamental red flags, those unrealistic promises and recruitment-based models, those never ever change. And if you need one last number to really understand the depth of this whole deception, it's this: 97%. APDAO claimed it had over 700,000 users, but when you look on-chain, it turns out 97% of those were fake. Zombie accounts, created by the scammers just to make it look like they had a huge, thriving community. The whole thing was an illusion. APDAO might be done, but the people who created it are almost certainly out there, planning their next skin change. The disguise will be new, the technology will sound even more exciting, but the trap will be exactly the same. So the only real question left is, will you be able to see past it?